When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
Take my hat off.
I'm South Carolina, so I just.
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Moore?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Done.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's a
the doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it all the more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. Entered the winning for the long haul, baby. Ken Miller, how are you?
I am doing well, my man. Thank you.
Where are you, Ken?
I'm in Bellingham, Washington.
Washington State. It's like 6 a.m. for you, huh?
Yes, it is.
My
But it's
God,
beautiful.
man. And who do we have to thank besides the good Lord for this broadcast?
Well, obviously, I want to thank you and whoever put us together. I'm very, very appreciative of that.
It was Ken Rashawn, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dr. Smiley in the house. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Great man.
How do you know Ken Rashawn?
He reached out to me. It was he saw me on LinkedIn and he saw the bald head and he saw the name Ken and he thought we might be related. So he reached out.
What do you do, Ken?
And we've been hot and heavy ever since, doing things. So real excited to work with him, working with part of his team. I have a new book coming out, which maybe we'll talk about later. But he does some things in the book and also in the speaking world. I speak. I'm also an author. So we had some.
Let's get to it. What's your book about?
My book is actually about change. It's about resilience. It's about a Black man, me, who grew up in some adverse conditions, but also ended up going to an Ivy League school. I went to Dartmouth, graduated from Dartmouth College. I was a National Merit Scholar. I was accepted to Harvard, chose to go to Dartmouth. But within 2 to 3 years of getting out of college with my degree, I was homeless for the next 20 years. Also, I'm a 3-time convicted felon, spent many years behind bars. And I had an epiphany. I had a message from God, and I changed my life around. I just celebrated 20 years of being clean and sober. And now I'm an entrepreneur, an author, a writer, a mentor. One of my passions is mentoring young Black men. That's my passion. Other than my Lord, other than my wife, my passion is mentoring young Black men.
Are you a victim or a victor, Ken?
Oh, victor. Oh, 100. I don't even use the word victim. At least I don't use it in relationship to me. I'm not a big one on what we call antecedents to chemical misuse. So I'm not as concerned about what happened to me and why I began drinking and smoking crack cocaine. I'm more concerned about how do I overcome those setbacks? How do I come back from the setback? How do I fail forward? How do I keep moving toward my goal, my prize? And what is my goal? What is my prize? And so I've spent a bit of time in the book talking about, the pivot moment, as one of the shows calls it. When I made that decision, and it was a decision to take a path that I had not taken before, which was to remain clean and sober and to glorify God in all of my manifestations of my actions in life. And I haven't been perfect, but I've been good.
Do you have your book nearby?
Excuse me?
Do you have your book nearby?
I have the cover of it, if that'll work. Yeah, here.
Let's see the cover of your book.
Okay, how do I need to share screen? How do I do it? You tell me, because I'm not used.
I thought you might have it in person.
Oh no, I have it on digitally. Yeah, I have it digitally. It doesn't come out till April. Yeah, it's with the publisher now, and so that's why I'm really excited, because it's my first book. But I am looking at doing a series of books. One book in particular I want to write is a book on respect. And what does respect mean, especially in the communities of color? What does respect mean on the streets? And what does respect mean in the penitentiary? And what does respect mean in the business world? What is respect? And so I've talked about it for years. I've worked with young men or men of color, it's predominantly Black men, about that word. I've seen more people get hurt or killed over that word. Not money. It's not drugs.
Okay, so tell me, what is it, Ken? What is respect?
Respect is acknowledgement of a person's stature or position within a community, period.
And if you don't give that respect, what happens?
Yeah, it's acknowledgement of a person's stature or position within a community.
And what happens when you don't give that respect?
There are ramifications, because that individual has a sense of what their respect is within their community. There's a community of drug dealers. I was a part of that community. There's a community within the prison. There's a community within the business world, whether you're in the C-suite or the executive director or the CEO. And when you disrespect that position or stature within that community, there can be ramifications.
Okay, before you go, look, Ken, let me get a word in. We can bring
sure, no problem.
David Heiber, and this show is, I named this show Overcoming Obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I want to ask you. You said that you chose Dartmouth over Harvard.
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain why?
Yeah, easy. I hated cities. I grew up in the country. Again, my experience is different than some Black people that listen to this show. I'm not obviously from the South. I grew up upstate New York. I was the only Black male in my school. So I grew up in a very white environment. My parents were African American. My adoptive parents I did 6 years of foster homes. And then I was adopted by Irene and Sam Miller. I grew up upstate New York. And then when I was 12, I moved to Anchorage, Alaska. And that's where I grew up, in Alaska, for the next, say, 10
Damn, man, you were like kidnapped.
I'm telling you.
Like double kidnapped. Black people got snatched from Africa. You got snatched from Washington State and taken to Alaska. I mean,
no, New York. My mom said we going to Alaska. I cried.
What's going on? She met a new dude or something?
No. It was work related. My mother was an incredible Black woman.
Come on, man. Let's get to it. Did you build igloos or what?
No, but I'm
ignorant, man. I ain't never been to Alaska.
Hey, bro, I learned how to downhill ski. Okay, I was like the only Black kid. I'm 13 years old, downhill skiing in Alaska, and I learned how to play hockey. And this is in 1975.
Well, Black people Hold up. Now, one thing I do know, I've never been to Alaska, but I know black people played hockey.
Now they do.
No, man. I'm talking about the 1800s, bruh.
Oh man. Well, believe
You
me,
didn't know that?
when I would play, there weren't any, and I couldn't understand why everybody was trying to forecheck me into the boards.
I'm getting ready to show you a picture. We're gonna bring in David Heiber and keep this conversation going.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
David,
What's up,
welcome
Dave?
to the show.
Good morning, good brothers.
David, where are you from?
I'm from originally Newcastle, Delaware, but after undergrad, I came to Baltimore, Maryland. I've been here since 1999, 2000.
So you've been kidnapped by Baltimoreans.
Yeah, but I came down here, tasted the Old Bay, and got stuck.
It didn't happen to you in Cherry Hill, did it?
Nah, man, my first indoctrination into Baltimore was moving with my frat brother to Woodlawn, because I was a first-year teacher at Forest Park High School, going to Madame Mall and realizing this was the first mall I ever seen with 2 liquor stores.
Did you get got at Madame Mall? Did you ever have one of them get got moments?
I didn't get got, but my spidey sense was tingling a lot. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, no, it was interesting coming from Baltimore. But you know, they say that, you know, all things happen for a reason. We just don't know then. But if it wasn't, I think I caught the tail end. I apologize for my lateness. Planes were delayed for another 2 hours again last night. But you know, coming from Delaware, but
well, let me just quickly bring you up to speed. Ken, New York, Washington State, Alaska, started at Dartmouth, went through foster homes, been to the penitentiary, been to the crack house.
Yeah, we share the experience of the penitentiary. I got my high school diploma and GED.
No, not you, David. David, you've not been to the penitentiary.
Yeah,
come on,
man.
David.
Ken will know this. SBI number 275138.
Oh, wait.
Come on, right? And that was, I remember that from 1996, almost 30 years ago. And I'm, you know what I mean, I'm still traumatized by just, you know, those things. But yeah, absolutely. So I was kicked out of 5 high schools after being an all-state cross country and track runner. But you know what I mean, the story behind that is my dad died. He had a heart attack 4 days before Christmas, my senior year. So it's not like I just woke up and said, okay, I will start doing some things.
And then your mom died.
My mom died while I was actually in prison. My father died.
4 years.
Yeah, my father died 1993, December 21st, 1993. My mother died while I was in prison, September 25th of 95.
Bro,
Yeah, right.
I lost my mother when I was 20, and what I've learned since then is to be grateful for how long I did have a mom.
Yeah, no, it took me a minute, right? It definitely took me a minute. I started going through my grieving process probably in my 40s. I was trying to realize why I couldn't connect to people.
20 years later.
Yeah, man, it was a challenge. It was, and I was purposely. It's not that I didn't know I was putting off grief. Oh yeah, no, I was putting off grief. I knew I was putting off grief because when I got out of prison, my head was down. I went straight. Like I got out of prison August 9th of 96 and went to college 9 days later. I didn't go to Dartmouth. I went to the Lincoln University, but yeah. The first HBC.
Much love for Lincoln. And let's get this out the way because I don't want to fight to break out down the road.
Yeah.
Is Lincoln the oldest black school or is it Cheney? Because I don't want to get to that Philadelphia fight.
Nah, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Got mad love for Cheney. Spent a lot of great days there partying as a member.
Oh, you had a girlfriend at Cheney?
No, I wouldn't call her a girlfriend. I just was a member of I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Oh, you had a girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm a new. But no, Lincoln's the first one. 1854, founded as Ashman Institute. Cheney was created as a teacher's college, so people already had degrees when they went there to become teachers. Lincoln was the first HBCU for granting degrees.
Okay.
And I know that because I was Mr. Lincoln, so I had to recite it. It's ingrained in me.
Ken, did you have a pledge?
Yes. Remember, I said I'm a little different. So I went Delta Tau Delta. I went a white fraternity. At Dartmouth, all they had Alpha.
Yeah.
And then they had their first pledge line of Kappas came through my sophomore year because I had a couple friends who went Kappa, but they were out of Northeastern at that time, out in Massachusetts and in Boston. But
my
no,
oldest son went a white fraternity at University.
Yeah, I did. So, but remember, I was just a different kid. And it was just interesting what you said, David, about the loss and trauma. So when I was 22, my dad shot my mom 6 times. He went to her job and shot her, and then was going to come over to my job and shoot me, but the gun jammed. So he couldn't finish that. So he threw the gun out the window, went home and passed out because he was drunk. Yeah. And you were talking about the sense of working through the trauma. My trauma was guilt because I had seen the gun 2 days before and I could have took the gun when I went over to my dad's house, but I didn't take the gun. And so I always felt, and I love my mom more than anything living. And when that happened, I felt so guilty. And I'm not saying that's my excuse for smoking crack, but it sure helped. Okay.
But it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault.
It took me years to really realize I had to work through. It wasn't my fault. That was a decision he made for the reasons he made it. Okay. And I have forgiven him and worked through that. I've forgiven everybody that has harmed me. I had to.
I had it.
Yeah.
So, Ken, did you go straight to the crack cocaine? Was it powder first?
Of course. You got to understand, I went to school back in 1980 to 84 at Dartmouth. And back then, remember, cocaine was not addictive. Okay, this is before Belushi and Lenny Bias. And it was cool. I got a bunch of prep kids. I'm not a prep, but I have a bunch of preps around me. And we did cocaine and we drank. Why did I start drinking? Because that's what you do in college. Freshman year, I went to the fraternity and I drank. I could talk to girls. Okay. And then people around me doing cocaine and smoking weed. So I indulge. I'm an addict. I don't have a turn-off switch when it comes to drugs. I just don't. I don't have it. Within 2 months of my first drink, I'm a full-blown alcoholic. Full-blown. That means I'm passing out. Full-blown within 2 months. Because I didn't drink in high school at all. I didn't do drugs in high school. I was a National Merit Scholar. I was a nerd. Okay, it was black nerd from Alaska. That's what I was.
David, what's the message for young black men out here? We live in a country where black people are, some say 13, some say 15, some say 20%. Black people are a minority number in this country. We're outnumbered. Yet, we are 38 to 40% of the people incarcerated. America only represents 5% of the world population, but we have 25% of the incarcerated people. 4 in 10 look like us. What's the message to young black men, David?
I mean, I don't think it's one size fits all because a lot of times people think that we're this homogeneous population. And we're just not, right? Like we have different experiences depending upon where you're from. Like we share the commonality of being African American, absolutely, without dispute. But I think the challenge is that in the reality that I faced is that yes, systemic racism is live and well. Is there an omnipotent white person controlling the dials and pushing the right? No, but systemic racism, colonialism is alive and well. It's very hard to break through. I think realizing and accepting that there are a lot of different challenges out there. And again, I caught part of what you were saying is, you know, my experiences as a student, as an athlete, as an academic, as an educator, as an education administrator, as a college professor, and now as a CEO. It is rough. That's my message to my young brothers, right? And so if it wasn't for like key mentors for me, so in Baltimore, Andre Bunley, Roger Shaw, Freeman Grabowski. I mean, those are the three off the top. That and Freeman is an amazing guy, other than being an alpha, but I won't hold that against him. And Andre is a Q, won't hold that against him. But they were very clear with me and showed me the path and were very intentional in communicating with me. And so I'm not old, but I'm not the youngest in the room anymore, Donnie and Ken. Like I know Ken, if you were playing hockey in the 70s, you got me probably by like 10 years, right? I think. And Donnie, I know that you're aging backwards, but you know what I mean? I have a lot of employee staff members in their early 30s and really spending time and pouring into them about the different tasks, the different responsibilities about giving back. So the message, Donnie, is really the intentionality of what you're going to face. That's my message, the intentionality, right? And also not being perfect. Right. You know, I think, Ken, one of the things that we probably relate on is about our story. And we didn't know it then, but each one of those crucibles were important to who we are now. I was doing a podcast yesterday and they asked me, like, what would my 49-year-old self tell my 17-year-old self when my parents passed away? And it was, you need everything that you're going to go through is going to prepare you for what you're going to be. And I didn't know it. I just didn't know it then. And you're gonna have to be willing to go through that grind, right? But there are good brothers out there. There are good brothers and sisters out there. The world is not conspiring against you. Live your truth. I mean, these sound cliche, but this is true. So, like Ken, like I think I heard you that you're a recovering addict, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't I tell people that like the opposite. I'm an addict, right? Like, and not narcotics, but I struggle with alcoholism. I've been struggling with alcoholism. I had a drink on at the airport yesterday. But I mean, just let's keep this shit real. Stuff real. I'm sorry, Donnie. I had a drink on the plane yesterday. I struggle all the time. I was a terrible first-time husband. Hopefully I'm a better second-time husband. I was a terrible father for the first set of kids. Hopefully the second set I do a little bit better at. Like, I wear my scars proudly because I'm not perfect. I struggle every single day. And that's what happens. Like we paint this picture for young folks, like, yeah, we don't have the answers. We don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out when I wake up today.
So, Ken, one of the things I wanted you to see was that they had blacks playing hockey. Man, I know you went to Dartmouth and all, and I'm sure they got the most prestigious.
I played with two of those guys. I know them. No.
But in the late 1800s, black Canadians in Nova Scotia formed the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes in 1895. So
is that what this is? Is that what this is?
We're not new to hockey, bro. You see them hockey pucks?
Because I was telling when I played hockey, there were no brothers playing hockey. Okay, Anchorage, Alaska. Okay,
1895. We've been playing. Who do you think invented skating backwards?
Oh my good. Oh yeah. They took that from the roller rink.
Is that the picture, Darlie? That's
yes, man. 1895.
Wow. Man, they was winning some silver too. So
wow.
So we live in a city like Baltimore. When you think of Baltimore as the home of redlining, back in 1910, the mayor was J. Barry Mahul, Ken. The suburban garden community had just been created. We call it Roland Park. Roland Park. And right next door to Roland Park, Ken, was Ho's Heights. And it's not what you think. Grandison Ho founded Ho's Heights. It was a black community. And the good people in Roland Park, Ken, they didn't want the black people over in Hose Heights to be able to move into their suburban garden community. So the mayor, J. Barry Mahul, came up with this ordinance saying blacks couldn't move into white neighborhoods and whites couldn't move into black neighborhoods. And that was since replicated around the country, i.e. redlining. Baltimore is the home of apartheid.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something else we don't know. We don't know who Margaret Sanger is. Sanger. Margaret Sanger. We should know her name. She is the mother of eugenics. Margaret Sanger is the mother of Planned Parenthood. And she said that blacks are like weeds which should be exterminated. Margaret Sanger. It's a famous picture of her speaking to the Ku Klux Klan. She is the mother of Planned Parenthood. There have been more black babies have died to abortion than any other cause. And I mention that because she was eugenics. She was a student of Charles Galton, who was the cousin of Charles Darwin. Survival of the fittest, eugenics. Hitler trained under these people. The master race. Talking about the insidious nature of racism in America. And lastly, I want to throw out there were no white people prior to coming to America. They were French, they were Italian, they were Welsh. But America came up with this
concept of race.
Yeah, the construct of race, because they realized they were outnumbered. And so here we are 400 years later.
Doni, can I ask you a question, man? Because you're Mr. Baltimore, man. Like real talk. And I talked to like Dr. Bunley about this and people who like really experienced it. Baltimore, Ken, where are you based right now, man?
Bellingham, Washington.
Okay. Oh wow, Washington State.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like 5:30 in the morning there.
It's 6:30.
Yeah. So the Baltimore is very interesting. It's a very historically interesting place, even to live right now, right? People think that my experience is that we're in the north, but it feels like it feels southern.
Last southern city.
Yeah.
South of Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, right. It feels really with black folks, my experience is we're not collective enough. And it's really hard. And I'm just speaking like as a black entrepreneur in Baltimore. It's hard. It's a challenge. It's really hard. Right? Like about the support. I mean, you got some good people doing some great work, but collectively, we're not where we can be, if that makes sense. Because
I gotta put this to you, David. You're in the nonprofit industrial complex.
No, I'm for profit.
But your field of study, education, much of it is heavily in the nonprofit. And so you're dealing with the nonprofit industrial complex, i.e. the nonprofit mafia. Most of the funding comes out of New York.
Yeah.
The New York-Baltimore Jewish connection is real.
Yeah, facts.
If they put you on a list in New York of no money, then you're on the list in Baltimore of getting no money. Nobody told you that.
No. The same organizations. So what I've experienced, Doni, is a little bit of funds, and black organizations are fighting for small amounts of money. And predominantly the white organizations keep getting the lump sums
and don't do nothing
and can't demonstrate, have not demonstrating any significant dollars. So, for example, let me call this to light. They want black organizations to have evaluations conducted about our effectiveness, right? outside evaluations are really expensive, whether it be from Hopkins, whether it be from other organizations. It's expensive.
Set up.
It's absolutely set up. So you can't afford the evaluation because your contracts are so small. So therefore, you're just in this perpetual cycle of small contracts, living literally funding cycle to funding cycle.
And let you crack slick on one of them white people one time.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Heiber is a problem. We're going to curtail his resources back for a couple of fiscal quarters.
Oh, what do you know? Have you been reading my life story behind the scenes, man?
It's like Baltimore, man. We can see it on. You see the stick up coming. You see it. You see it coming. They've done the same thing over and over. Hey, dude, I know a dude. I won't call his name on the out of embarrassing him, but before he got into the nonprofit realm, dude would answer his phone any time of day. Then he get caught up in this world, and all of a sudden, oh my God, you know Donnie Glover? Oh, you can't take his calls anymore.
Wow.
Dude used to walk down North Avenue. We used to go get a pint of Naughty Head. We used to get some oysters.
Yeah.
Go
no,
around the way.
I got accused of being an angry black man and basically an uppity Negro. Let's put him back in his place. Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. I know that's what they're saying. I know for a fact.
Come on, Ken. Can you relate to any of this?
Well, my background is in the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
I've been teaching in the nonprofit world for 15 years. I was on the board of AFP, which is the Association of Fundraising Professionals, one of 6 black men to have ever been on that board in 62 years. And I was ousted from the board because I was too loud. And the incoming chair, and I'm not going to name names either, but he didn't want me on the board. Yeah. And he made it so that I did not remain on the board. And that was a conscious decision on his part to do that. So I'm very familiar with those worlds. Yeah. About just going back just to your historical, which is really interesting. You have a black neighborhood that's called the Heights, which shook me because usually they put the blacks in the bottoms. They put us in the lower level of the ground or the land because it was swampland. There's mosquitoes, there's malaria, and also wastewater goes down. So the blacks were put into the bottoms. And you'll go to a lot of black communities, and it's called the bottoms for that reason. It's always near the downtown. Yeah, I know a little history here. And so I thought that was why you guys got the Heights.
Detroit is called Black Bottom.
Well, yeah, a lot of towns. Cincinnati's got the bottoms. You got Pork and Beans in Chicago. I mean, we can talk about literally the physical level within the city. The rich people want to live above. The air is better, quote unquote. You can go to Brazil and see the same thing with the favelas.
South Africa.
They can look down upon the masses, the plebeian masses, we will call them. And also remember back in the day, wastewater, because that's the way you really got rid of effuse, would go down because it's called gravity. So that's where the populations that were taking advantage. And then remember, one of the key things about redlining, a lot of people don't understand why there was redlining. The reason they really came up with redlining is they did not want their children going to school with black children.
Mm-hmm.
Because children are prejudiced. They don't have that.
Here's the funny thing, Ken. The funny thing is they didn't want their children going to school with black kids, but their children had the black kids' mother's breast
for sure
in their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with not an intelligent people. We're dealing with a mildly retarded people. My mother's breast has been in your mouth, but your daddy don't want you going to school with me. You see how confusing that is to white children?
Yeah.
I done had that woman's breast in my mouth my whole life.
I love you, Donnie.
Yeah. And they didn't want that land until the land becomes profitable. So, for example, Don, like let's look at Cherry Hill now, right? Like we've built up East Harbor, we've built up Port. Now it's okay, Cherry Hill, which was created just for black.
Port Covington,
yes,
Baltimore Peninsula. Oh, yo, you talking about Cherry Hill?
yeah. No, it's like that. Remember, Black Bottom was so powerful in the D, but then they cut 75 right through it. Not 75, 375 right through it.
Detroit.
No, it was 75. It was 75. They cut through Black Bottom downtown. I mean, that's what they did. It was systematically destroyed Black Bottom.
They got the highway to nowhere here in the bottom of West Baltimore. They got an entire neighborhood. Knocked down all of these houses, Ken, for a couple miles.
Yeah.
For nothing.
They haven't. Yeah. I can talk about New York. I can talk about Seattle. I understand gentrification because I experienced it in Seattle, Washington. This is usually what happens. You have a downtown core to a city. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, and I'm talking about the early 1900s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, you needed black workers to clean, to work in the downtown area. So there was always a black area near downtown that they could take public transportation to get to work for the white man. Okay. Then what happened when the city started growing, when cities came back in the 70s, and that's literally when they started coming back. All these white folks wanted to move in, young white folks predominantly, and they want to be near downtown because they're working there also. And they're yuppies or whatever, millennials. And so they start moving in. What happens, and you may have seen this in your city. So what happens is most of this land is predominantly owned by older black women, because the black men are incarcerated, dead, on the streets, or left. Okay, that's what happens in these black communities. And what will happen is a white person, and Seattle was predominantly, the first group was white gay males. That's who came in. The gay population came in. And in Seattle, in the CD, we call it the Central District, they move in, and there's literally 6 houses per block on each side. And then 2 or 3 of them come in, they clean up the house, they make it all nice and beautiful, and the land value goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm on a fixed income as an older black woman, and I can't afford the taxes, literally. Plus, people were making me an offer. I bought the house is paid off, and they're offering me $50,000 for this house. Those houses now are worth, I remember this is back in the late 80s. Those houses are worth $1 million.
DC.
Worth 50. And you can see that in DC. Anyway, that's gentrification.
Yeah.
And again, what it does is it breaks up these communities. We have our churches, we have our eating facilities, we have the things that we do for social. And now we're just disparate. And it also takes away literally some of our power because we don't have the voting block to put in.
So think about DC, right? You know what I mean? We're all familiar with. It's not Chocolate City anymore, right? Period. We already know that. They Shaw neighborhood was right next to Howard. That's taken away, right? Trinidad over there on Florida Avenue, it was taken away during the Rayful Emmons era, right? Late 80s, early 90s, the crack epidemic and everything like that. You didn't go to Trinidad, that was in North. You didn't go there. You can't buy into there now. The row homes, we're talking about less than 2,000 square feet, 1,500 square feet, are $1 million. You can't. Show all the town, the homes are $2 million, right? They're trying, you know what I mean? Then when you come up to Baltimore, Doni, I live on Utah. So when I first got to Baltimore, after I moved into the city, I was on Drew Hill Park Lake Drive, overlooking the reservoir. And I used to run down Drew Hill to the YMCA there. And I would pass all those brownstones, which looked like Brooklyn or Harlem back in the day. Right? And I was like, man, I would love, because they're 5,000-6,000 square feet. Doni, know what I'm talking about, right? Like you couldn't, like, that was it on the corners, Donnie. When you got the Gulliver House, which is 10,000 square feet, it was the people that owned the downtown department stores, and I always wanted one. But they were down to $100,000, Ken, 100 for 6,000 square feet. Now they're 700,000 because you're literally right across from Bolton Hill and Micah, and Reservoir is one block up. Like, I mean, watch what happens with the northern North Ave corridor. You know what I'm talking about? Like right off 83 down, like
the West North Avenue Development Authority. They just done 28 million into West North Avenue. So you sense that Black people will become displaced.
Yes, we will. Yes. We're gonna be squeezed, similar to.
But we've had every opportunity to buy.
We have. Yeah, that time.
Just like Harlem, just like Brooklyn, just like DC.
Yeah.
Or what did we do? We went to Orange Mills.
Yes.
We went to Woodlawn. We went to Randallstown, especially if you're dating an upwardly mobile African American woman.
Yes. Because
she's not moving to Sandtown.
Yeah. But historically, we did that across
the white girl moved to Sandtown.
Yeah, Detroit, we went to Southfield when we crossed 8 Mile. Right here, we followed the Liberty Road corridor, past Forest Park, out into Woodlawn, Randallstown, and Owens Mills. Right? It's historical. It's the plan, and we move because we feel like that is the path, right, of affluence. And as we're moving out there, the plan has already been laid. They're going to come back with property value and just clean up the neighborhood, like that. That's literally that's it.
Gentlemen, how do we heal the pain, trauma, and damage that our species has done to the Black woman?
Great question.
Yeah. Ken, if you have the answer, let me know.
Well, first of all, we got to take responsibility.
Yeah.
We got to take responsibility.
Even for stuff we didn't do. It was our father's generation.
No, come on, Don. I may have to push back on that one. It's our generation. It's Black men today. I've talked about this. I once had a group, and I brought together all Black fundraisers, and at the AFP conference, okay, I don't have to go into too many details. There was 44 people of color, Black people. Oh, well, we had one. We always get one or two white folks that want to come in, and out of the 44, 43 of them were women, and I was the only Black male, and I was ticked. I was like, "Where are all the brothers?" So I'm sitting here with these women, and we talked about Black male, Black female relationships in the fundraising or nonprofit world, and the stress. And there are stressors within that. First of all, Black women get so many more advanced degrees than Black men. Okay, period. Okay, you can't even fight against that one. And so I had all these doctors and people with masters, and sometimes there's an envy and a jealousy there. Mm-hmm. Then there is the stress of Black men marrying white women, period. Okay, there's a stressor there. Okay, because Black women were marrying white guys for a while. And I could talk on that subject for a minute. Okay, been there, done that, if you know what I mean. Okay, and that stressor, all the good Black men are marrying these white girls. What's up with that? Why are we doing that? You know, we have people who talk from the national stage, Dr. Umar, and you know, about that situation. Then there's the education. Check out this statistic. The highest rate of divorce is a Black couple where the Black woman out earns the Black man. What's the dynamics behind that? To think about that. Then we have the situation with violence. Then we have the situation with drug misuse and abuse or alcohol mixing. I dealt with it. I told you about my dad. I was an alcoholic drug. I wasn't the kindest to my partners. Okay. I'm going to go into details on that, but I've been there, done that, done time. Okay. So we have all these, and the thing we have to go back to is why us as black, the most dangerous thing to a black man is a black man. It's not the police. It's not the judge. It's a black man. That's the most dangerous thing to another black man. I've been there. I've been in the gang world. You know, I can just tell you, and I've been in prison.
What's a brother to do? You can't date the sister because she make more money than you. You can't date the white girl because you're going to get frowned upon. What the hell can the black man do? Go to the strip club?
Hey, a lot of them look for another guy. I hate to say it, but that's what they do.
They're going to Baltimore Street, Donnie. They're going to Baltimore Street. They're going to the block. You know, to Ken's point, I don't think there's a simple solution, right? I think it's historical trauma. If you go, you know, there was an episode, if you remember, on Good Times, when Florida got the job that her and James were going for. Like systemically, we're pitted against each other.
Yep.
Right. We are. It doesn't do the system any good for healthy black families. It's not good for the system. So think about this. When you start getting,
Tammy said, get a trade. I don't understand. What do you mean, get a trade? We do have trades. We're educated.
So
college educated. We're just trying to fit in and work with the sister.
So think about this. What to have rich, you have to have what? Poor. Right? You need a permanent underclass. Right? There is a system. There's
in America, we need black men to maintain and build communities.
Correct.
A lot of us have been maintaining and building communities.
Yeah.
But we're outnumbered. In the city of Baltimore, in my neighborhood, in Sandtown, this is 10 years ago, was Freddie Gray. I live in Sandtown. 10 years ago was Freddie Gray.
Yeah.
Again, you're more likely to find white women moving into Sandtown than an upwardly mobile black woman, because an upwardly mobile black woman would prefer a zip code with 21133, 21117, or maybe Harford County, maybe Carroll County. Our perception of what progress is has changed. We'd rather get a $300,000 prefab house in Owings Mills than to rehab this $75,000 house next door. Our perception has changed, and no matter what you think, white people still have influence on it, because no matter what Louis Vuitton says, we still got to buy that $1,500 purse to fit in. So we're confused. Yeah. We don't know who we want to be. Yeah. When you say, where do you want to go? Can we go to Ghana, or you want to go to Dubai? We want to go to Dubai. Do we know that Dubai just ended slavery in 1971? No, because we're influenced by social media. They just ended slavery in 1971, but everybody wants to go to Dubai. Then we get over there and the sister get to run in her mouth, and then she get locked up for 6 months because she doesn't understand the culture of an Islamic country. But we fly, we hip.
No, I think that there's a construct, Donnie and Ken. Ken, and you've it seems like you've traveled across the country and lived across the country, right? Mm-hmm. There's an intentionality in construct. You know, I had an opportunity to study under Molefe Asante at Temple University, modern day father of Afrocentricity.
That's up there where Dr. Jeffries was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so I mean, it was when you start looking at it. We went to there's a phenomenal Black education organization nationally called National Alliance of Black School Educators, NAPSE. Right? It founded in the 70s because we had to, as Black educators, come together because we weren't accepted in masses at some of the other large education companies. Or organizations and conferences. But when you, to your point, Don, when we come together, largest gathering, we're talking about 25 to 3,000 Black educators convening every year. There is intentionality about this community, but when we're talking about collective economic power. And I mean, Garvey was talking about it, right? The collective economic power to show our influence, buying back our own communities, fixing our own communities up, not leaning into the standards of white America. I mean, we are still miseducated. We are still miseducated, like Carter G. Woodson said. Like it's so ingrained that you don't need the manipulative white person pushing buttons. We're pushing our own damn buttons each and every day.
Willie Lynch.
We don't control Baltimore.
Perpetually divided. You won't need to divide them. Just turn light skin against dark skin, east side against west side, bald head against dreadlock, Delta against
AKAs,
Kappas against the Qs, Masons against the Elks.
Yeah. No, it's
perpetually divided.
We have so much collective power, potential power, if necessary, across the country in so many different ways. But it's intentionally divided. I was in a convening. This was you probably, well, Donnie, I know you know him, right? So I was in a convening. David was there. I'm talking about Dr. Miller. David Miller was there. Andre was there. Dr. Bunley. Like there was some heavy hitters there, right? And we were literally talking about there's hundreds of Black organizations. And when you look at the collective funding that Black organizations get, it is a fraction of one or two white organizations, right? So if you're talking about, I know, Ken, you were in this world. If you talk about Eddie Casey Foundation, right? If you're talking about Able Foundation, if you're talking about, and I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but the truth is the truth. They will fund historically the same Black organizations, right? If those Black organizations are in line in step. If they are in line in step.
Let them buck.
And they cut off. They turn your water fountain off.
Oh my God, he's too radical.
So
my God, can you believe he was talking about reparations? My God.
Brothers, I gave a testimony. Like, so there's a big thing right now nationally, but in the Black, in Maryland, around chronic absenteeism, students not coming to school, right? I mean, that's what it's called, right? Students not coming to school consistently. And so what I suggested was, we think we know the solution. We think we know the problems. The fact of the matter is we don't, because we take small sample sizes of the students and the families why they're not coming, as opposed to knocking on every door to figure out what students and families need. So, I gave testimony yesterday to the city council and with comments, and I simply said, why don't we take the approach of Du Bois as far as his work, the Philadelphia Negro? All he did was knock on doors to figure out what the problems were. He didn't surmise. It wasn't top down, try to understand what this issue was. It was knocking on doors.
They're trying to shove a master plan down our throats in Sandtown, and they have knocked on zero doors.
There you go.
You're trying to do a master plan, and you haven't knocked on one door here, but you're about to submit this thing, and they don't know that I'm a writer. Well, they know now.
Yeah. Like I asked them, I said, how many students have we talked to? Not in the comfort of a school, right? Where you have the people who are going to come to those things are the people who are going to be informed and who are informed already. I'm talking about knocking on the door, speaking to the brothers. There's a work from Howard University called Tally's Corner, where the ethnographer, the researcher, literally talked to the brothers on the corner who were drinking every single day, right? To find out what the hell's going on. You know what I'm talking about, right, kid? Like,
I read the book. Yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't do that. We tell people, we tell people what they need, and we don't listen to them because we don't ask authentically. There's this own agenda out there, master plan, to your point, Donnie, that's what it's going to be. And we think we have community buy-in because we do one or two community forums. You
gave him some chicken and you gave him some watermelon and some Kool-Aid. Don't forget the chicken, the watermelon, and the Kool-Aid.
The greens.
Man, did you taste the greens?
Yeah, yeah, brother. Yeah, bro. Yes. Listen. So, Ken, I would venture to say, and I don't want to be off on this, is that prison. So, I was raised by my white grandparents, right? So, I was blessed to have a very unique perspective, right? You know what I mean? I grew up working middle class whites because of my white grandparents, right? But then I go to prison. That's a whole community college associate's degree in Black culture. Then I go to the first HBCU. Sorry about that, Cheney, right? You get the dichotomy. And Ken, I know you had this experience growing up differently, but being privileged enough to see how that other side works and how they think. It's insidious. It is insidious and it's pathological how they think, right? Even if they're not conscious about it.
Let's say
I only got a couple more minutes, and I want to say this. I believe, and this is my belief, that the fundamental problem in the Black community is not external to the Black community. I think the fundamental problem is Black men. That's my belief, that we are so damaged. Now, why we're damaged, we could talk about that for ages. But literally, the healing in the Black community has to come from the healing of Black men. I've seen Black women doing phenomenal. And of course, there's exceptions to everything. But it's Black men killing Black men. It's Black men selling drugs. It's Black men being addicted. It's Black men not being a representation of God's will. We haven't even talked about Black men in church. You can go to a Black church right now, and it's 70% Black women. That's at least.
Do you understand there's a war?
Maybe you got different churches down there.
There's a war, Ken.
Okay.
There's a war, and we lost.
Okay, so we lost. So what you do when you lose?
Nobody took their foot off our necks.
Donnie, there's healing in surrender. Okay, there's healing in surrender. Japan lost the war, and they're a phenomenal country because they surrendered unconditionally and have now grown to be what they are.
I want you to come down here to Pennsylvania North, and I want you to go up there and tell them cats to surrender.
But let me talk about
this. Pennsylvania North.
I want you to go to Penn North, and I want you to tell these cats that the police right here, they selling dope right here. I want you to go and tell them, look here, brothers, we need y'all to surrender.
We have a term.
And you let me know how that goes down.
I don't spend a lot of time speaking from the wound. I speak from the scar, from the healing. And so what I personally do is I mentor Black men. I have a Black men's book study where we got guys all over the country that we get together and read nonfiction books. My problem, the reason I wrote my book was to touch more Black men and to be able to speak from the stage about healing and overcoming and changing the mindset that is keeping you back from being the best that you can be as a Black man, as a husband, as a father, as a grandfather, like I am. That's why I did it. So talking about the healing, let's get to the healing part. What do we do to what is the answer? My problem is my answer is 15 guys. My answer is 30 guys in the book club. That's too small for me to make real time. But I have touched men, and I've seen men grow, and I've seen men reach there. Every man I work with, and I mentor explicitly, I say to them one thing. The first question I ask them, what is your dream? And I give you permission to dream. I say that, look them dead in the eye, and then I shut up.
But Ken, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead. And I got good news, but yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate that, right? So, like, even in my healing journey, right? People want to start with the healing. My therapist wanted to start with the healing. I wanted to start. I know my scar is there. I'm still in my wounded stage to understand what am I wounded from. I think a lot of brothers don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't think a lot of brothers understand what they're wounded from. They know that they're wounded. They don't know what they're wounded from.
So we need to have that conversation with them. I don't want to talk over anyone, but we need to. Let me just say this real frank. I do life well. I do life really well, and I am good to life. I am successful. I am respected, and I am very comfortable with my walk with God and through this life. So here I am, an individual, and probably the same guys on this. We can do that. We can talk to somebody that's damned and said, I've been there. Let me at least listen to you. And these are some either suggestions, because I only do is suggest for your growth. And not only that, check this out. I'm there for you, bro. I'm there for you. I get calls every week from people with their challenges, with their heartache, with their problems. And many times all they want is another Black man that has their best interests in heart to listen to them.
Quicker solution. I'm going to put it out there to you PhDs. Get a Black man a passport so he can go see some other parts of the world and realize that we have other opportunities than besides in this apartheid-ridden, hateful place now run by a moron and his girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever Elon Musk is. Get him a passport. If you're in Baltimore, get him outside of Baltimore. One trip, one airplane trip away from freedom of seeing something else.
Doni, to your point with that, there's I have a line brother. His name is Tiano Brown, from Baltimore, still lives in Baltimore, teaches at a high school in Baltimore, right? But when all of us graduated college, and most of us went to go get a master's or a terminal degree, for the first 7 years after he graduated from Lincoln, what Tiano did was every summer he traveled abroad. He visited all these continents, all these countries. And when he came back, to your point, Doni, is his worldview was specifically changed because he was indoctrinated, one, at first to Baltimore, and then two, just to his community at Lincoln. But him traveling, he's fundamentally the most well-rounded person I've ever encountered. Because for 7 years, he didn't go for a visit. He didn't visit, right? Or a vacation. Let me say that.
He immersed himself.
He would save up money, his teacher's salary, go to South America, and he would backpack. He would fly down and backpack his way up. And if he ran out of money, he would bust tables.
So listen, we got to exchange information. There's a private chat there. Ken, David, how can people get in touch with you? Thank you for taking time out. I think Ken's got to get to a meeting. It's truly a pleasure, truly healing. Tammy Shepard, please continue to engage us and share your light. But I will tell you, no different than how it was in slavery. America is more comfortable with a beautiful sister around because the white man is sexually interested in her than having a strong Black male around who his wife is sexually interested in him. It's the same America.
Oh, don't get me started on that one, Doni. And I do got to get going, but I want to say this. The other thing that you must understand is that white folks are physically afraid of us. Physically. Because we'll beat their ass if they act too crazy. I'm serious. I've done it. Okay, went to jail. But I mean, just be, and I tell people that all the time. You got to understand, I'm 6'2", I'm 200 and some pounds. I'm not to be trifled with. Even though I'm a Dartmouth educated Ivy Leaguer, grew up in Alaska, I'm still a Black man. And you don't know what happened to me when I was 6 years old or 17. That you just brought it back up. So I got some PTSD. So I'm going to deal with it on your face. Okay, but let's put that one off to the side. Number one, I want to thank you, Doni. Truly, anytime you'd like for me to come back on, I would love to. David, I'd love to holler at you offline if possible.
Absolutely, brother.
See my number on there. Give me a ring. Shoot me an email. Let's holler. Doni, if you ever want to talk offline or again on another show, and anything that you think that would be beneficial for me, I do everything for free in my community. Let me know. I'd love to talk to some young Black men.
Well, Ken, I don't do everything for free. I'm gonna send you.
Well, I do. I do very well.
I'm from North Avenue. We send.
Hey, I still hustle. Don't get it twisted. I still
David,
hustle.
David,
I'm a
David, any
hustler.
final thoughts?
No,
So I gotta go though. Thanks, guys.
Great meeting you, Ken. Absolutely, Donnie. Keep doing your thing, good brother. And let's see what we can do for Baltimore. It needs a lot of healing, and it needs a lot of support. But I appreciate everything you've been doing, good brother.
Much love, big brother. Good morning. Black Hockey